Okay, I have a question that came in via email that I want to address. My name is Natalie Hoffman with flyingfreenow.com. And, but I don't know. So I'm not sure if I can actually go to my pictures on my phone. So this is kind of an experiment. And if I get disconnected from you guys, then I'll have to try this another way. Am I still on with you? Okay, I'm going to actually come right back. I'm going to get rid of this one and I'm going to come back and I'm going to read this on my computer. Actually, never mind. I can just walk over to my computer. Hello. Okay, so here's the question. I can start reading it. Someone asked, what is the difference between discerning from a person's facial expressions, body language, tone of voice, and behavior that they are manipulating us, and assigning a motive, which seems to be a huge no-no from the counsel I've received? And just one moment, I gotta open up my computer to read the rest of it, okay? Sorry, should have been prepared. I was trying an experiment and I don't know if it would work or not. So, okay, here's the rest of the question. Over a year ago, when my therapist at the time and her husband met with me and my husband, that was the thing I got called out for the most. I was not allowed to assign a motive to my husband's behavior. If I did, I was in the wrong. This tied my hands to my husband's covert abuse because he could say that he just didn't intend anything by his actions. He was innocent of wrongdoing. After this happened, I refused to meet with him any longer, but my husband continues to use this against me, that I don't think the best of him and I assign wrong motives to his behavior. Help me untwist this tangled up thought, because I don't want to hinder my relationships moving forward if this is something that I am doing that's not okay. Okay, I love this question because I dealt with the same exact thing in my past marriage. Sometimes it was called assigning a motive, but more often than not, it was called making an assumption. So you made an assumption, you assumed something. So first of all, when making assumptions is something that all humans do every single day, bazillions of times a day. All right, that's part of being in relationships. We make an assumption. For example, if our child comes in crying, we're going to make an assumption that something unpleasant happened to them, right? It is not evil to make assumptions. This is what normal people do. In fact, the only people that don't make assumptions throughout the course of their day are maybe people who have brain injuries or maybe people who are extremely high up on the autism spectrum, so they're not able to understand what body language means or what facial expressions mean or whatever. But most of us and our husbands are perfectly capable of interpreting body language, tone of voice, and facial expression. And in fact, all human beings are very, very good at it. If you want to learn more about this, there's a fascinating book called Brain Talk by Dr. David Schnark, and it's absolutely mind-blowing, that book is. Highly recommend it. So, back to this question though. Is it bad then to assign a motive to somebody? I would say that if you're in counseling with someone, or if someone is telling you, oh, you're just assigning a motive to them, you don't know why they did that. You can't say that they're trying on purpose to manipulate you. That's true. You can't. And I don't recommend doing that. It doesn't really matter what they're trying to do with their body language, their facial expressions, their tone of voice, or their behavior. It doesn't matter what their end game is. What matters is how the things that they're doing make you feel. So you can say, maybe your husband does want to manipulate you. Let's say, this is a pretty common example. Let's say that you're going to go to a restaurant, and instead of just coming out and saying, I would like to go to Taco Bell, your husband drops hints or sort of passive aggressively makes it known what he wants you to decide. Well, if he's even giving you the decision in the first place. And you're left trying to figure out, okay, what does he want? I need to make the right choice or else he's going to be cranky. So you try to make the right choice. Well, let's say that, but you don't know. You don't know what he wants necessarily. Well, or maybe you do know. What I say is take everything at face value. So if in that situation your husband was saying, let you decide, or is saying you can decide, then you decide. You pick a place that you want to go to. Take it at face value, right? Because we don't want to assign any motives. We don't want to make any assumptions. Pick a place. Let's say that you pick the wrong place and he's mad now. A lot of us, our behaviors, we take action based on protecting ourselves from them being mad at us or from them saying mean things to us or being crabby. Sometimes we just don't want to be around a crabby person, so we'll try to do what we can so that they're happy. Let's say that they're crabby now. You picked the wrong restaurant. They're going along with it because they want to try to, they want to look like the good guy, and they're crabby. So now you go to the restaurant and you're sitting with a crabby person and it really sucks. You actually don't have to go. You actually could say, you know what? I can tell. Well, actually you can't, because you can't assign a motive and you can't say what they're doing. You could say, hey, are you crabby right now? And if he says, no, I'm not crabby, why would you think that? You could say, well, your behaviors indicate that you may be cranky. And right now, even if you're not cranky, even if you're in just the grooviest mood on the planet, I'm uncomfortable with the energy that you are giving off. And so I don't really want to go out to eat anymore. And so I'm not going to. If you want to go out, you go out and have at it. Eat wherever you want to eat. But I'm not going to because I don't like the vibes you're giving off. All right, there you're not saying how he's feeling. You have no idea how he's feeling. What you're saying, what you're communicating to him is how his behavior, either it's his facial expressions, his body language, his tone of voice, or his actual behavior. Maybe he's stomping around or throwing things around or whatever. Those behaviors are making you feel uncomfortable. And there's nothing that anybody can do to say that you don't feel uncomfortable, because that would be assigning motives to you, right? So then next time you're in the counseling office and try not to use language like, well, I know that he wanted this out of me, or I know he was trying to get me to do this. Don't use language like that. Use language like this. When he does A, B, and C, I feel this way. I feel crappy. What can they say? They can't deny that. They can't deny how you feel when he does A, B, and C. And then so that's what you do in the counseling office. Then outside of the counseling office, when you're trying to communicate with him, you don't have to say what you think he's trying to get at. All right? You don't have to say that. All you have to do is say how it makes you feel. And then you get to decide if you want to be in close proximity to that person when they're making you feel that way, or if you want to go to a different room or do something else. Put your headphones on, read a book, listen to Audible, watch television, but get away from them. And if they have a problem with that and say, what's your problem? Why you're treating me like crap and you're leaving me alone in this place? You can just say, well, as soon as you change your behaviors, I'd love to get back, I'd love to spend the evening with you. But what you're doing, your behaviors and your facial expressions and your tone of voice, I'm not comfortable with that. So I'm going to do my own thing. You can do your own thing. I'm going to do my own thing. Because here's the thing. They have a right to be, I want to say a swear word here, but I don't know if I should on Facebook Live. They have a right to be crappy. They do. You guys, every single human being on this planet has a right to either be sweet and kind and respectful, or to be crappy and disrespectful and nasty. And you get to choose who you're going to be, what kind of person you're going to be. You also get to choose what kind of people you're going to hang around. If you, and I know we don't think that we have that choice. And if you're married to someone, you may not always have a choice to be in a separate room from them. Sometimes, but you do have a choice about whether or not you're going to open your mouth or keep it shut. Whether or not and by the way, I'm speaking to people who are in emotionally abusive relationships, not physically abusive relationships. If you know that by speaking up or not speaking up, that you're going to get bashed around by your partner, then this is beyond that, or that's beyond the scope of this conversation. That's when you need to reach out to, you need to call a hotline or reach out to a local domestic violence shelter and get help for that kind of situation. But for those of you who are in the kind of relationship I was, emotionally abusive, then these are some strategies that you can do. I think, let's see, I took some notes, but I think I covered everything. Hold on a second. Yeah. Yeah, I think I covered everything there. So I hope that was helpful. And let me just see if anyone has any questions. Do you have any questions around this topic that I just talked about? Let's see. Michonne says, well, that shouldn't make you feel that way. Let's explore what is going on with you that makes you... Oh, okay. So her counselor said, well, that shouldn't make you feel that way. Feelings lie. You can't trust your feelings. Well, here's the thing. Feelings are feelings. Feelings don't lie. Or feelings are just the things that we feel. They're real, all right? They're not lies that we're telling ourselves. They just are there, and they're it's a fact of life that everyone has feelings. So I would just inform that counselor, counselor, maybe you don't know this, but actually feelings are neutral and they're just there. And we can't always help we can help our feelings, but that's another conversation. Here's how we help our feelings. Our feelings are based on, this is getting into a whole other thing, but I think this is good. Our feelings are actually based on how we think, our thoughts. So if we're depending on, because you could take someone and put them in two different people and put them in the same situation, they might have different feelings about that situation. All right. Circumstances are neutral. I know it doesn't seem like that, but they actually are. They're facts. They're just the facts of what's happening. So let's say that the fact is that your husband or this other person that you're with is not giving you any eye contact. Their tone of voice is very tight. They're acting really cranky. Their body language is telling you that they don't want to be with you or that they're mad at you. All right, those are all facts. How you interpret those facts will determine how you feel about them. So if you're interpreting those facts to mean that you are a bad person, you did something wrong, you should feel guilty, you're not making him happy and that's your job, then how are you going to feel? You're going to feel bad. You're going to feel bad about yourself. You're going to feel guilty. You're going to feel like you're inadequate. That's going to affect your feelings about you. But what if you're with a person and they're doing all those things and you're telling yourself, wow, they must have had a bad day. Huh? Or I wonder what they've got up there, you know what? Or whatever. And you're not reflecting, you're not taking it on yourself as it's your problem. Then your feelings might be kind of like, well, for crying out loud, I'm not going to hang out with you if you're doing this. Call me later. You go have your time. I can't do this right now. Then you're not feeling anything bad about yourself. All you're feeling is maybe some annoyance, or maybe you feel compassion for them. Wow, they must have had a really bad day. I feel bad for them. But you're not feeling bad inside of yourself that you're a bad person. Okay, so that's how we can actually, it takes a lot of hard work to do this, but you can actually kind of reframe things so that you don't have to feel so crappy about yourself when someone else is treating you like crap. I'm using the word crap instead of the word that I really want to use, but, okay, so when a counselor though, it shouldn't make you feel that way. I would probably say back to that counselor and say, well, you know what? Most human beings, if they've got a pulse, when someone yells obscenities at them or tells them that they're a loser or that they're a Jezebel or that they are never going to amount to anything, most human beings with a pulse are going to feel something about that. Okay. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you wouldn't. Maybe you live above in some kind of urethral realm that is not on this planet. But I'm one of those people who lives on the planet. So I have those kinds of normal feelings. All right. Sometimes these counselors, it's they're all theory and they just repeat these ridiculous cliches that when you bring it back down to real life and the real nitty gritty of life, they don't really mean anything. And yet, these counselors are very effective at putting a guilt trip onto you for having feelings that anybody might have in that situation. Feelings that are perfectly normal to have in an abusive relationship. All right? So when they say, let's explore what's going on with you that makes you feel that way, you could say, yeah, let's explore that. Let's explore my humanity. What would you like to explore first? And just meet them head on. We don't have to run away and hide, or we don't have to feel like this shame that, oh, there's something fundamentally wrong with me because I'm having feelings of like I feel bad when someone treats me badly. There's no shame in that. And you don't and if a counselor wants to put that kind of shame on you, then you know what, you could also say to them, well, so counselor, what if I stood up right now and I told you what a bitch you are, and you're the worst counselor on the planet. I've never ever met anybody who is a worse counselor than you. You have no idea what you're doing. You are obviously uneducated, and also you're ugly. What if I did that to you right now? How would that make you feel? Let's explore that. Let's explore those feelings. Would you be mad? Would you feel like totally neutral and just like, oh, you know what? That's totally fine. Hey, I love that. Or would you, how would you feel? Let's explore your feelings first, and then we'll explore my feelings when someone does that to me. Or maybe we could explore both of our feelings together. Because I have a feeling that we both have the same feelings when someone treats us poorly. Because that's just a common human reaction to that kind of behavior. When someone throws sand in your face, it's going to hurt your eyes and you're going to want to get it out of your face. Let's explore that. I wonder why. Let's explore that. You guys, I can get really snarky. I believe me, I've been to lots of counselors. I've heard all the things and I can get really snarky. So I think I'm going to stop there before I get super, super snarky. That's it for today. I'll probably pop in tomorrow. And you guys, if you have any other questions that you want to ask, you can either send me an email, Natalie@flyingfreenow.com, or you can private message me through this this Flying Free Facebook page, or you can, I think those are the two best ways. So send me a question and I'll answer them here on Facebook Live. I'm going to try to get on here as much as I can every day. And Hope says that's not a good counselor, and I hope you sought better counsel. I agree. All right, until next time, fly free.